Hello everybody, this is Julia Laird and welcome to Senior Susie Stamps. Today we're talking about Minislimline envelopes and how to make those. You know, we're all familiar with the A2 size card that fits in this nice commercial envelope, and they're easy to find and easy to make, but that's not what we're looking at today. What we're looking at is a Minislimline card. And the card itself is 6 1/4 by 3 1/4, and you cut the base at 6 1/2 and fold it in half to make your 3 1/4. And these envelopes can be a little challenging for people because they don't seem to be readily available on any of the envelope scoreboards. So today I want to use this paper. It's called Painted Lace. It's from Hot Off the Press. I got it several years ago. You've got plenty of paper in your stash, so we're going to use what you use, and I'm going to use this paper. We're going to make this envelope 3 different times today. One with a punch board, an envelope punch board, and I'm going to use the We Are Memory Keepers 123 board. That's what I have. And the second one I'm going to make on my Martha Stewart scoreboard. And there's a trick I'll show you. You can make it on a different brand of scoreboard perfectly well. Just bear with me. I got to get some of this stuff out of the way. And then the other one we're going to make is on just a regular cutting deck. And one with a scoring blade in it. I'm going to go ahead and take this cutting blade out so I don't get confused. That's never good. So let me go and cut this paper. Before I do, however, when you're cutting an envelope, this takes an 8 by 8 square piece of paper. So you can get an envelope plus 2 or 3 cards out of this paper. And what you want to do is choose where you want to cut on this paper. So obviously, I'm not going to waste this artwork here on the inside of an envelope, or the outside of the envelope for that matter, when I can get a perfectly good envelope out of this square here. One, it doesn't make any difference. I'm just going to cut a plain 8 by 8, and on this one, while it looks the same, it has a strip of artwork here and a corner treatment here. So I'm going to try to cut this out of here. So I'm going to cut those pieces out, and we're going to do one on each one of those pieces of equipment. So I'll be right back. Okay, let's start today with the 123 punch board, because I know a lot of you have envelope punch boards. And so this is the envelope that we're going to end up with. And you can see it started with an 8 by 8 sheet of paper. Our first punch is going to be at 3 inches, and we're going to punch that on opposite sides, opposite corners. And then our second punch is going to be at 4 7/8 inches, and that's going to be on the opposite corners. And then we're going to put one more 5 3/4 inch punch to cut this right down the middle, and we're going to round the corners. That's as simple as an envelope gets. So bear with me now, and I want to show you how to do this. We're going to start at 3, and we're going to just line that up. This 123 punch board has an additional arm that you can bring out for longer paper stock, which is why I bought this one years ago. I don't know that I would buy one today, but I use it a lot, so I probably would. Just saying. Now on this paper, you do want to be a little cautious when you're doing designer paper that you don't bear down hard, because you can run your scoring blade right through your paper, and you don't want to do that if you don't have to. So I'm going to punch, and then I'm going to slip my blade right up in here and just easily push down and run it back up. There we go. Now I'm going to turn it, and the second one corner is going to be at 4 7/8 inches right here. I don't worry with lining up those lines because they're too hard to see on designer paper. So if you'll just put your little point at 4 7/8 and punch and score, that's all you need to do. And then we're going to turn it and go to 3 inches and punch and score. And turn it and go to 4 7/8 and punch and score. And on the side where you have your long draw, that's where you want to put your 5 3/4 inch score on, right here. So I've got my long score line here, and I'm going to put another one in right here. And that's to cut off, to make that flat join in the middle there. I'm just going to bend it down for right now so y'all can see it. And then I'll go ahead and cut it off because I can see it better now. And I just try to cut the score line off so it doesn't have any gnarly edges. Now we fold these in, and on this paper I don't burnish this because it's a lighter weight paper. I just finger fold it a little bit, and if you get to a spot like this where your fold is on a lighter weight paper, that doesn't make any difference at all whatsoever. There we go. And then we need to round the corners, and I'm just going to use my little handheld here. It works better for me these days, especially on this paperweight. And then we're just going to glue it together. And I'm making it on this side. I'm making the wrong side. So I'm going to come like this. And we're going to bend up. Now, if you have this kind of situation here where it's not quite exactly perfect, just get your scissors and trim that off a little bit. That's all you need to do. And this one is the same way. And it may be this lighter weight paper just didn't cut quite right on that board. So, we're going to glue up in this triangle. Don't come too far now. Don't come past that middle point because your little flap is only going to cover to the middle point. And you can always go back and add just a little bit more glue up under the edge if you need to. And then I'm going to glue one of these little flaps down, and you've got a nice little glue surface that you can glue on these. So they'll be nice and secure going through the mail. And there's one envelope done. Here's a little spot right here. I'm going to take my scissors and just trim that just a touch. There we go. So there's one envelope ready to roll out. Let's look at envelope number 2. I'm going to use my Martha Stewart scoreboard for this. And if you have one of these, you know on the back here that there's a triangle. And it's made for doing envelopes. And on that triangle there's a little groove on one side and another little groove on the other side. So you take the side that's smooth and put it in this very first groove right here and just slip it right up in there and you're good to go. So now the way this works on this one is we're going to start, and I've already rounded my corners, but we're going to start and we're going to score that first one at 2 3/8. So let's get that done. You start with an 8 by 8 square, but your scoring measurements are just a little bit different on these. And I'm going to use my little lightweight scoring tool. This is the one that I use for heavyweight cardstock. You can't use that on this kind of paper. You have to be a little more gentle now. And I put some pressure on this, and you'll see now my corner is just exactly where it needs to be, right up there. And I'm going to come to 2 3/8, which is 2 plus 1, 2, 3 lines right here. I happen to know that's the blue line. And I'm going to start at the bottom and ease my way up. Just right like that. And on this envelope, I'm going to do that other side the same way. Here we go. Just going to ease right up, and that's 2 3/8 inches. And you'll see that mark here on the lines, but it corresponds with your 2 3/8 up here, right down there. There we go. Now on this envelope, we're going to turn that and drop one corner down so that you have kind of a weird little shape right here, and we're going to nudge it right up next to our angle and snug it up next to the top so that they're nice and firm for us. And then I'm going to score this at 6 1/2. And I'm going to be easy with my scoring tool, working on this lighter weight paper. And then I'm going to score it again at 10 1/4. Now before I move it, I'm going to score it again at 12 1/8. Gives us a little triangle to cut off then. So again, 6 1/2, 10 1/4, 12 1/8. And that's all I need the scoreboard for. Now we're going to cut the corners out because that one, of course, didn't have an automatic cutter on it. And all I'm going to do is use my scissors to do that. I'm going to cut this one off. And then I'm going to cut my corners out on the score line and take the score line off. And it doesn't matter if you take just a little bit more than the score line, as long as your corner ends up in the right spot. But don't overdo it. Just take your score line completely off. It works better, especially with a little heavier weight paper that won't fold up easily. And here's the fourth little cut. And then we're going to go in now and round our corners, these 3 that are left. Have to decide which side we're going to use, and I think I'm going to put the pink out. I think it's prettier. These are very simple to make. They all go together the same way. Put your glue on this little triangle and be sure you don't go too far. And then go back and backfill a little bit with glue if you need to. I almost went too far on that one. Running my mouth. And then we're going to put a little bit on one of the ends. And that envelope's ready to fill and send. So now let's go on to the third one. Oh, I'm using Books by Hand PVA glue today. I tend to really reach for that more and more these days, just so you know. Okay, now here's our third way to do these. But you need a triangle, and it needs to be an isosceles triangle. And what that means is you have a square here. So you cut it good and square, and then it's 6 inches this way and 6 inches this way. Let me show you how to make these easily. I use a backer piece. This happens to be off a 12 by 12 pad that I saved. Because you know how I am, I save a lot of stuff. Do you save stuff? You could just as easily use the backer off of a 6 by 6 paper pad and put a diagonal line right down it. And use that, and that would be fine. So I'm going to cut this at 6, and unfortunately I just put a new blade on here, but that's okay. This cardboard or chipboard tends to kind of dull your blade down just a little bit, and I'm just going to make 2 or 3 easy cuts on that at 6, and then I'm going to turn it and do exactly the same thing again at 6 inches. And now I'm going to put this up and cut it right down on the diagonal. And that's one of the reasons why I prefer my Fiskars trimmer for doing this kind of thing, because it has this guide wire. I'm going to hold that securely, but I'm going to drop my blade into the middle and come down and back so that I don't ruin. I got that up just a little bit too far, and that way I don't ruin my points. There we go. See, now I have two isosceles triangles that are 6 inches from here to here and 6 inches from there to there. So that's what we wanted. Oops, we're going to use this. And so now I'm going to take my cutting blade out, and I have a little scoring blade here that I'm going to put in. And I'm going to set this at 2 3/8 inches. And I'm going to make a line on mine with my little scoring blade at 2 3/8 inches, just to help mark it a little bit. There, you can see it now. And I'm going to leave that at 2 3/8 inches. In fact, I might put just a little piece of tape right there so that I don't have to fool with moving that too much. Now, on this 8x8 piece, we want to make sure that that's up against the bar completely, and press down on it, and then put your corners together right here. This is the important part, the corner, and the fact that this goes flat all across there. And you can be assured then that you're going to get a score that's 2 3/8 inches. And then be careful when you're scoring not to press too hard. There we go. And then we're going to turn it and do exactly the same thing. We're going to hold it down, put our corners in place, make sure everything's good and snug, close it, and score it. I'm going to fold one of those score lines down. Let's do the pink side because it's a little less crazy. There we go. And I'm going to put this corner of the fold, that little corner right there, at exactly the 1/2 inch mark. So it goes right there, and I'm going to put my score in. And I'm going to turn it over and do exactly the same thing. I'm going to put it at the 1/2 inch mark. Make sure it's squared up at the top. And I'm going to run my score line in. Now, from this corner right here, I'm going to move it over 1 7/8 inches. And that's between 1 3/4 inches and 2 inches. So it's 1 7/8 inches. Right there. And I'm going to change out my blade and cut that off. Okay, let's back up on that. It's 1 7/8 inches from the score line, not the corner. There we go. I didn't cut quite enough off of there. We'll cut our little corners out, just like we did on the other one. Cut your score lines off. Cordelia's over there chasing her tail again. I don't know if you can hear her or not. She loves to chase her tail when I'm up here recording videos. It's a thing. It's just crazy. It's a little hard to see these on designer paper for me. So I hope you don't have any trouble with yours. All right, we're going to go in and glue it up. There we go. And there's our third little mini slimline envelope all finished up. Let's look at them all and see how they compare size-wise. There may be just a tiny bit of difference. Let's just see. I think if I stuck these in a stack, I would not be able to tell you which way I used them. Oh, this one's a little short. Let's see how long that is. Let me see whether our mini slimline will go in that or not. So the mini slimline card fits just perfectly in here. It's just a little snugger, and that's fine. If you have a different scoreboard, just make you one of these and use it. Put your little line on there so that you know where 2 3/8 inches is. So there you go. 3 nice envelopes that are very roadworthy, and they fit these cards perfectly. 2 of them are just a little bit longer. It doesn't make any difference, but they all fit very well. So there you go. Hope you have a great day and a great week, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye, y'all.